And it's PLB with MLB News back with another video. If you saw my first one player that could be traded from each MLB team, I had to break that into two parts. The first one was AL. Today's video will be NL. If you haven't watched AL yet, I highly suggest you do. Link in the description below to that. We've got one player that could be traded from each MLB team in the NL. If you like this kind of content on the channel, like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you will get notified whenever I upload, and you will be one of the first to watch. Let's try to get 5 likes on this video, and I will do another trade video. So 5 likes, another trade video. So let's go ahead and get into this, starting off with the Atlanta Braves. I think this is a pretty obvious choice for the Atlanta Braves. I definitely think it is Ender Inciarte. He had one of his worst seasons in his career in 2019. He had 5 home runs, 24 RBIs, and a 246 batting average. And he had one of his better seasons in the major leagues in 2018. 10 home runs, 61 RBIs, and a 265 batting average with Atlanta. Then his best season of his career definitely would be in 2017, 11 home runs, 57 RBIs, and a 304 batting average. I think the Braves might want to trade Inciarte. They already have Markakis, they already have Duvall, they already have Culberson, who could also be an outfielder, and they have Christian Pache and Drew Waters, who are also outfielders, which are their top 2 prospects. I could have put Drew Waters or Christian Pache on here, because they could be traded to get a third baseman, but I think Ender Inciarte could be traded also, and I think they would want to make room for Christian Pache to come in and be the starting center fielder. Next, for the New York Mets, I've got Dominic Smith. The reason I put Dominic Smith on this list after his best season of his career in 2019, coming off a season where he had 11 home runs, 25 RBIs, and a 282 batting average, which is a good batting average. He had a few home runs, a few RBIs, those stats were mostly off the bench. They already have their first baseman for the future in Pete Alonso. I think they might want to trade Dominic Smith to get some better relievers, because Edwin Diaz, he's not been very good for them. He's been terrible. And Jerry's Familia was also terrible last year. For the Nationals, I had a hard time actually picking this one. I think it's Sean Doolittle or Michael Taylor, but I'm going to say Michael Taylor. Michael Taylor is obviously the backup center fielder now. I don't think the Nationals need him anymore. It's kind of the same thing with Ender Inciarte. They don't really need him anymore, and I just think they need to trade him and get some better relieving back, because that is a role that the Nationals need help in. His 2019 stats were pretty bad. 1 homer, 3 RBIs, and 250 batting average. I think he was also injured in a little bit of the year, so that might be a little bit of the reason why he still had a bad season. His best season of his career was by far in 2017, when Bryce Harper was still there. 19 homers, 53 RBIs, and a 271 batting average. That was the best year of his career by far. Next one for the Phillies is Jake Arrieta, who, in my opinion, has been a bust ever since he went to the Phillies and was traded from the Cubs. Well, not traded. He was picked up in free agency by the Phillies. I just think he's been a bust. They need to trade him. They need to get some better starting pitching. They thought Jake Arrieta and Aaron Nola were going to be a good 1-2 punch. They really haven't been. It's going to be Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola. His 2019 stats were not that great. 8-8 record, 4.64 ERA, 24 games started, 135.2 innings. I think he could possibly be a perfect fit on the Los Angeles Angels, possibly. The Angels obviously need starting pitching, and I think he might be the perfect starting pitcher for them to take a risk on as their ace or their number 2. I think he needs to get back to a rotation that he would be the ace in. Next for the Marlins is Jonathan Villar. I think this is pretty obvious. They picked him up so so they could trade him at the trade deadline, get some more prospects back. He had the best season of his career by far in 2019. 24 home runs, 73 RBIs, and a 274 batting average. A really good season, in my opinion. I think they might want to trade him to a contender, and I'm sure he would like to be traded to a contender, even though the Marlins are going to be much improved from their 2019 team. I still don't see them being better than the Braves, the Mets, the Nationals, or the Phillies. And I think Jonathan Villar would be the one that they would want to trade to get some prospects back from a contending team. Next, let's move on to the NL Central. We've got the Chicago Cubs' Kyle Schwarber. Even though he did have one of his better seasons, probably his best season of his career in 2019, he had 38 homers, 92 RBIs, and a 250 batting average. I feel like they need to trade him because I don't think they're going to be that great of a team in 2020, and I just think that they need to trade him. Next for the Cardinals is Andrew Miller. Pretty much since he got to St. Louis in 2019, he's been a bust. 5-6 record, 4.45 ERA, even though he did pitch 73 games. So he's pretty reliable out of the bullpen to eat up some innings and pitch a lot of games. But he didn't have the greatest season. I definitely think they should try to trade him, maybe even back to the Cleveland Indians might be a okay try. Since 2017, the best year of his career, 4-3 record, 1.44 ERA in 57 games. He has went downhill since. In 2018, he had a 2-4 record with a 4.24 ERA in 37 games. He didn't have that great of a season in the last 2 years. I think they might want to send him back to Cleveland where he had his best year, get maybe some prospects back, to possibly get Nolan Arenado, which they tried to do in the Matthew Liberatore trade, to try to get some more prospects, try to get some more good prospects from the Indians. Maybe a Tyler Freeman could be coming their way. We'll see, though. The next one for the Cincinnati Reds is Nick Senzel. I think this is pretty obvious. He had a pretty good season in 2019. His rookie season, 12 home runs, 42 RBIs, and a 256 batting average. Even though he did have a good season, they have Shogo Akiyama, who is in his position now. Next, for the Pirates, I've got Josh Bell. I think Josh Bell might want to be traded, even though he's been with the Pirates for 4 years. I think since he was so good in 2019, when he hit 37 home runs, 116 RBIs, and a 277 batting average, I think he might want to be traded because he's on a non-contender in the Pirates. I think he might want to request a trade and be traded to a team that's actually contending and that needs a first baseman. I'm not exactly sure where he could go, but I think a contending team could use him. Maybe possibly like the Minnesota Twins, because I put Miguel Sano on the AL one. If you have not watched that video, link in the description again. Now for the Brewers. I've got Orlando Arcia. They've got Luis Urias as their shortstop right now. Even though he is coming off his best season in 2019 with the Milwaukee Brewers, 15 home runs, 59 RBIs, and a 223 batting average, even though his batting average is very low. He did hit a lot of home runs, a lot of RBIs. He did have a good season, but I could see him being traded to a team like the Baltimore Orioles, Seattle Mariners, a team that's not really contending and that needs a shortstop that could be in the middle of that order. I think he would be a perfect fit with the Seattle Mariners. That's my guess. Next, in the NL West, we have Dodgers, Austin Barnes. Even though Austin Barnes was a top prospect at one time for the Dodgers, they've got Keibert Ruiz, who is going to be coming up soon. I'm pretty sure his highest level is AAA, so he could start the season in 2020 with the major leagues, especially if the 35-man roster thing happens. And even though he did have an okay season with the Dodgers in 2019, not one of his best seasons. So 5 home runs, 25 RBIs, and a 203 batting average. His batting average was down, his home runs were down, his RBIs were down. compared to his 2017 season where he had 8 home runs, 38 RBIs, and a 289 batting average. That was definitely the best season of his career. I think they might want to trade him because they really don't have a spot for him, and I think they might want to trade him to get some relief pitching, possibly. The Dodgers are already a really good team, but I think they could possibly trade also Kenley Jansen, because I think Kenley Jansen could have another down season in the 2020 season, if there is a season. I think there will be, though. I did a video which was MLB 2020 season, talking a little bit about when I thought it was going to start and when I thought the minor leagues were going to start. Link in the description below to that video as well. Now let's go ahead and go to the Arizona Diamondbacks, which this was one of the easier ones to do for me, I would say. Jake Lamb. I think even though Jake Lamb has had some good seasons, especially in 2016 and 2017, let's go ahead and look at his 2016 stats. 29 homers, 91 RBIs, a 249 average, compared to his 2017 season, which was even better. 30 home runs, 105 RBIs, and a 248 batting average. I definitely think a team would take a chance on him, like the Atlanta Braves. I think this would be a perfect fit for the Atlanta Braves. They wouldn't have to give so many prospects up like they would to get Nolan Arenado, because the Diamondbacks already have Christian Walker at first base, which would be the other position he could play, and Eduardo Escobar at third base. I think the Braves could be such a perfect fit for Jake Lamb. The Braves definitely need to try to get Jake Lamb. Next, for the San Diego Padres, I've got Emilio Pagan. The reason I have Emilio Pagan on here is because he did have a really good 2019 season. It's just that they already have a closer in Kirby Yates, and I think that they might want to trade him to get some better starting pitching, because their two best starting pitchers are Chris Paddock and Joe Lucchesi, I think is his name. I think they definitely need to trade Emilio Pagan, try to get some starting pitching back, and that's the reason why I have them trading Emilio Pagan. Now, the second to last team on this list is the Giants, and this is Tony Watson for me. He had a pretty good 2018, even though he didn't have a great 2019. His best season was probably in 2018, when he had a 4-6 record, a 2.59 ERA in 72 games, compared to his 2019 stats, where he had a 2-2 record with a 4.17 ERA in 60 games. I think a team that needs relief pitching, like possibly the Dodgers, would definitely take a chance on Watson, and I think they could trade him. Now to the final team of this video, which for me is the Rockies and Nolan Arenado. I think they might want to trade Nolan Arenado, because they don't want to get nothing back for him if he leaves in free agency. I think they might want to trade him. He's the best third baseman in baseball by far. His best season was in 2016 and definitely 2019. 41 homers and 118 RBIs and a 315 batting average in 2019 and 2016. He also had a really good season. 41 homers, 133 RBIs, a 294 batting average. And then in 2015, also 42 home runs, 130 RBIs, and a 287 batting average. I think his best season was probably in 2015 or 2016. He's still a really good player, though. He still has really, really good stats. I think a team like the Cardinals or the Braves or a team like that would definitely be willing to give up some prospects, who the Cardinals and the Braves, maybe even the Padres, have quite a few good prospects that they could definitely trade for Nolan Arenado, and I think the Rockies would want for Nolan Arenado. Now, that's the end of this AL and NL, one player that could be traded from each MLB team. Thank you for watching. If you like this kind of content on the channel, like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you will get notified when I upload. You will be one of the first ones to watch it and the first one to leave a like. Check the description below for those 2 video links, and you can go ahead and go watch those. Thank you for watching, and I will be back with more videos soon.